Greetings, families and supporters of Tusky Valley Local Schools. I'm here today with President of our Board of Education, Amy Burrier, and our Vice President, Dick Gooding, and we are standing literally on the very edge of the site of the construction project for the new 7 through 12 school. I would also point out that we're at the very edge of what can be and should be, we believe, the auditorium for our new 7 through 12 school. And I want to share a little bit of background, and then we have an urgent request. Some background first. First of all, we've got a big district vision. And our vision has always been centered around what is best and right for all of our kids. You've heard it said, our staff has heard it said repeatedly, that we've got a comprehensive vision to maximize dollars from the Rover pipeline and to build a brand new 7 through 12 building, renovate our existing middle school, with an addition to house grades pre-K through 6, and to use anything and everything above those utility tax dollars from Rover Pipeline to construct a new stadium, and to make sure that we have an auditorium, to relocate our bus garage over to our existing student parking lot. So there's a big comprehensive vision for our school district. Of course, big vision requires big dollars. And fortunately, our story does include the Rover Pipeline. And the Rover Pipeline brings in utility tax revenue. And we made a commitment, our Board of Education made a commitment very early on that we would use every single dollar from that utility tax revenue for the facilities for our school district to serve as the local share of the co-funded project to build these 2 new buildings, and then go beyond that with new stadium and new auditorium and all of those kinds of things. So we've got a lot of excitement here, but there's also been extreme challenges. And our Board of Education has been discussing those challenges at our monthly meetings. And Dick, you have been our Vice President for a number of years. You are a parent of proud graduates of our school district. You also sit on the Facilities Committee. Can you walk us through a little bit about what is the most challenging thing that our Board of Education is wrestling with right now as it pertains to this project?
Well, sure. People, you need to understand, this just didn't happen. We're at the end of 2021. This vision started many years ago. And when we started to talk about costs, we were actually working cost sets that were 2017. Then everybody knows what happened. COVID hit.
Yeah.
And with COVID, has really played havoc on the budgets that we've been working with. And besides that, there were also some unforeseen things that happened, including rock here and wet grounds here, all of which seem to not show up on these soil borings that were given. So the district has not only had to look at what the projections are over the estimates, and they're pretty significant. Let me share with you that. The construction estimates themselves came in $2.5 million over what they were anticipated to be. Then it goes out to bid, and the construction bids came out hundreds of thousands of dollars over top of that. And why? They blamed everything on COVID, supply chain. Talk about trying to get steel right now to build construction projects. Unbelievable. And all the contractors that officially put bids in for this project have padded their bids because they aren't sure what's happening and they want to be protected. So as a result, we've had to cover $4.5 million over before we even get started on this project. That's the shortfall. Now, Mr. Murphy said it. We wanted to use the Rover funding to do our part or our share of the 61%. The state funds 39%, we fund 61%. The problem is they don't fund auditorium, right? And that's why we're here today. So we are definitely looking at a major cost for an auditorium, doing it correctly, $4.9 million. If we were to just put up a shell, just a section of this building, that then the insides could be done later, is $3.5 million. So we are definitely needed to raise funds at this point.
Yeah. And Mr. Gooding, Hammond set a deadline for us. They set a deadline for the school district that said, we need to order materials. If construction for this building, the new 7 through 12 building, is slated for March 2022, you need to tell me now whether or not we're going to order materials to build the auditorium as part of this building. So why is that deadline so important? Why is Hammond putting urgency on, you've got to tell us now about whether or not we're going to build an auditorium with this project?
Well, the way you build a building is you've got to tie in footers. You got to have walls. In fact, the way it was explained to us is that the auditorium, as well as the gymnasium, are the highest points of the building. And they have to work that first into the construction before they extend on and do the rest of the classrooms, etc. So that's why it's so important that this needs to be done up front now versus later. The other thing is, we know if this is added to later, the costs are not going to be $4.9 million.
All right, so great update. So there's excitement, and we're thankful. A lot of good things, along with a tremendous challenge and a sense of urgency. So, Mrs. Burrier, Board of Education President, you've received some calls from me and some text messages from me. Our entire board has over the past couple of weeks. Since our Board of Education meeting in November, share a word of hope, because we've received a couple what I would refer to as miracle phone calls, and we trust that there will continue to be more miracles in order to continue moving this forward. So would you update our community in terms of these miracles?
Absolutely. We want to thank Gary Sears with Elite Cryogenics. They have offered to donate and help fund this $1 million. So we're excited about that. Along with them, we've got Kimball Foundation that has also pledged and given us a check for $1 million by the end of the next 3 years. I don't want to leave out we've had anonymous donators with $100,000, so we're getting there, and it is a miracle. We're very excited for these people and these foundations and businesses.
We've got, that's phenomenal. I mean, actually unbelievable to think about. Really $2 million over 2 weeks time frame, a commitment and a check for $500,000, commitment for $2 million and a check received for $500,000. Amazing. And yet we've got a very long way to go in a very short period of time in order to move this forward. So, Mr. Gooding, I'm going to shift gears one more time. There may be people in our community, especially if they know us, if they know our district, they know the campus, and they may think, Board of Education, didn't we not too long ago renovate the existing high school auditorium, and to the tune, and that was $325,000 back in 2017 to renovate that space. And some people may say, isn't that, you already have an auditorium, Mr. Murphy. Why on earth would we need to invest $4.9 million as part of the new 7 through 12 building when you've got one over there? I'm pointing across. So how do you answer that question?
Well, first of all, we do have a nice auditorium, but it was a retrofit, I believe, from 1957 when that school was first originally constructed. And it's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be used. In fact, I can see it being used for community meetings, smaller type gatherings. It could even be used for faculty type of staff development. But realistically, if you've been in our auditorium, you can't put a concert band or a band on that stage. You can't put even choirs with risers. And the way the curtain structures are, people stand up there, they can't see their kids. And it's only a 300-seat auditorium. By the time you have choir concerts, band concerts, and even the different plays that are done by our fine arts. In fact, the way it's used now, we have to have the play repeated 2 or 3 nights just to get the opportunity for enough parents and community people to come and enjoy the kids in that. So this auditorium would be state of the art. It's 2022 whenever it would be going in. and it would serve the kids so much more going into the future.
Mhm.
And 525 seats, I believe it would be, we could have a total band concert, a total choir concert, a total fine arts plays, and great things could be done. And the other thing, Mr. Murphy, is this. Even though that's the main part of the auditorium, it has been designed by Lesko Associates that in the back part, some of those rooms are actually learning environments for Project Lead the Way and other things that would be going on for the schools. So it's not just an auditorium.
Absolutely, absolutely. You nailed it. And I think that's a legitimate question. If I were a resident in our community, I may be wondering that. So I believe you've answered that question really well. Thank you. In closing, I want to thank both of you for taking your time to just share this update with our community, with our supporters of Tusky Valley. You both have grown phenomenal, in my mind, adult children that are proud graduates of Tuscarawas Valley Local School District. Is there anything else from your perspective as a parent, as a resident, as a community leader, and with the role that you serve, is there anything else you would want to communicate to our community or want them to know?
Well, I can start, and I first want to say that I'm proud that my son always has said he wants to bring his family back here and have them attend Tusky Valley schools, so that's always encouraging to hear. Tusky Valley Local Schools is here in this community because of the strong sense of support and also the unity that they bring together. As a board, I just want to say that we are committed to maximizing the tax dollars that we receive in every way so that we can benefit these students here on Tusky Valley District grounds, as well as our community members and business leaders.
Well, Amy, I appreciate what you said as far as the benefit of the students. And that's what we as the Tusky Valley School Board are here, along with Mr. Murphy and the staff that we have at Tusky Valley. We want to provide an opportunity for our students where they can excel not only in academics, but also in the arts and in sports, to make them a well-rounded individual to go out into the world and to be successful. And we can only do that if we have a school where we can have each one of those parts affected.
Absolutely. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to our community and to our staff, and most importantly to our students. I love this place. I love our school district. And we are asking for business leaders, our community members, our families, and to get involved. And if you support this vision and you believe in this project and you understand the purpose and the mission of completing an auditorium as part of this new 7 through 12 building, if that's what you would like to do and you'd like to contribute financially, it's perfect timing for some as we approach year-end giving in the month of December. If this is something you would like to do, feel free to contact me, contact any of our Board of Education members, reach out if you've got questions. If you'd like to write a check, write the check to Tuscarawas Valley Local School District, and in the memo line, write auditorium. 100%. Every single penny of what you give will go towards this project. So thank you so much. If you need anything, reach out to us. And we always like to close everything with Go Trojans. So thank you again, and
Go
Trojans!